If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
What? An aerial pan over an open landscape to open a movie about magic and evil? Is this seriously trying to be Disney's version of The Shining?
What? No sin removal for the only 12-second old-school Disney logo at the beginning of this movie? Well, I, for one, am shocked.
Look, I don't care if they are witches. This is clear and convincing evidence of blatant overcandling, and they should be executed for that alone.
This is 1693. They quite literally need this many candles to light this room. Have you ever been in a large room during a storm that took out the grid? That was the daily experience of humans in the 17th century. Electricity wouldn't be harnessed for nearly 200 years.
Another glorious morning. Makes me sick.
Movie steals the opposite things humans say and feel about stuff that's good thing from the Addams Family.
Really, Jeremy? You think the Addams Family invented subversion? A concept that has existed since at least the 14th century? What's next? Hocus Pocus steals female sorcerers from the witches of Eastwick? Grow up, Peter Pan. Count Chocula.
'Tis time.
Damn, someone should tell Bet that she's not on stage and doesn't have to play to the back row.
So the criticism here is that an actor is overacting. In a role that literally calls for overacting. Jim Carrey's career is catching strays, is what I'm saying.
Why the hell is this kid breaking into the house on his own? He told the other boy to summon the townsfolk several minutes ago, and they can clearly see the smoke the witches are putting out from the village. How are they this far behind?
It's incredible to me how you can witness the boy telling the other boy to summon the townsfolk, which clearly would take at least a bit of time, see that the witch's home is really deep into the forest, and still ask how are they this far behind? Did you miss the giant-ass field before the thick forest?
So the potion these witches are making is in this cauldron in the center of the room. So what's this other cauldron that's over a fire in the chimney? And how is that creating the convenient thick purple smoke that allowed Thackeray to find this house?
This is kind of an answer to the previous sin when you think about it. Since the larger cauldron is no longer in the chimney, which it clearly was before Sarah came back with Emily, it's no longer producing the smoke, thereby making it more difficult to find the house. I guess my mistake was assuming you'd think about it.
Confusing children for weed. That's right, folks, your girlfriend's favorite nostalgia porn from the 90s features 2 instances of child torture within its first 10 minutes.
Fuck them kids.
What hast thou done with my son, Thackeray?
Okay, I get the townspeople are pissed at the witches, but isn't dude still trying to locate his son? Like, why would you kill all 3 of the sisters at the same time if you want answers? Maybe off one, then see if the others talk.
Jeremy has killed women that were accused of being witches before.
My ungodly book speaks to you. One All Hallows Eve when the moon is around, a virgin will summon us from under the ground.
First off, why even tell them about the book? Second off, since we find out later that the book can't be burned, why didn't the townspeople at least parallax this shit so nobody, except maybe Natalie Portman, could stumble upon it?
Jeremy mentions parallax cliche. But you know, this time is especially egregious because what Jeremy is referring to is the sealed evil in a can trope. The problem with that trope is that it's literally inevitable for someone to find and release the evil within, meaning you are advocating for that which you are arguing against. In other words, you're a Trump supporter in a YouTube comment section.
It just so happens that Halloween is based on the ancient feast called All Hallows Eve.
This girl discount Hillary Swank so hard that I had to remind myself the real version was busy doing the next Karate Kid around this time.
Excuse me, if you think this chick looks like this chick, then I would suggest you talk to Stevie Wonder's optometrist because even he can see that you're full of shit.
Here's my number.
Hey man, props for being confident enough to give the hottest girl in your class your number in front of everybody. But did you have to use an entire goddamn notebook page to write this little bit of information in the left corner?
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Jesus Christ, this movie has more suburban New England bike riding footage than a Stephen King adaptation.
Wait for it, guys. He's going to tell us why that's a sin. Any minute now.
Oh, Allison.
I fantasized about a lot of girls in my high school back in the day, but I'm pretty sure I did not cuddle up with a pillow pretending it was one of them. A stack of Legos with their yearbook photo attached at the top? Sure. Pillow? No.
The Lego thing is definitely sin-worthy on its own, but dude, body pillows with characters on them are a thing today. I'd say Hocus Pocus was on the ball.
This is my first time!
Your first time for what? Because later you say,
We used to have so much fun together trick-or-treating.
so I don't understand what the first time is. Is it your first time without mom and dad? Or is it supposed to be your first time trick-or-treating? I think the former requires explanation and the latter is a total lot.
It's painfully obvious that she is referring to this being her first time in this neighborhood. They have already stated that they just moved here from Los Angeles a week ago, and if you let the scene play, he states that she's 8 years old and can take care of herself, to which she replies she might get lost. That you need this explained to you.
What are you supposed to be?
A rap singer.
Oh, well, your hat should be on sideways, shouldn't it?
We are the American 90s. We have a president that plays the saxophone, the climate is cool and refreshing, there are slap bracelets and cross trainers, and we can even have fun with stereotypes and cultural jokes that will never be dated.
First of all, that laugh. Second, it's super weird that you send a movie for being a product of its time and making jokes that will be dated, yet you constantly bring up shit like Parallax from the Green Lantern movie. It's like, no one even knew that's what we were talking about in Sin 12 until I just said it, and even then, some of the people watching this video were literally in elementary school when that came out. And third, it's ridiculous to consider something like this sinful. I mean, current movies still have conventional cars with wheels that drive on the ground. What if someone in... Wait, what year will we have Blade Runner-style flying cars, Future Birdman? 21. But that was only for a short while. Too many FUIs, and not even elongated muskrat, fourth of his name, could bribe enough Island of California demon-crats to get the laws changed back. After that, best they could do was float off the ground about 5 feet.
So Back to the Future's a bunch of bullshit?
Everybody pays the toll.
Stuff it, zit face.
Why you live?
This dude is as likable as the actual ice.
Based.
You're doing a little trick-or-treating. Ding dong. Woo!
I know these bullies are supposed to be dumb and generally hateable, but they have a genuine unlikability on screen that makes the movie itself tough to watch.
Alright, man, I already removed a sin for this exact talking point, but double dipping on sins is sinful.
I miss all my friends. I want to go home.
Look, it's obviously not these kids' fault that these performances are terrible. Thor Birch went on to have some pretty bitchin' success. So couldn't the screenwriters have helped them out a bit? One of the dudes wrote the American Tail stuff, for Christ's sake.
You sound about as cracked out as the morons suggesting Brie Larson's wooden performance in Captain Marvel was the fault of the director. You cannot out-direct bad acting, and that's not even really the case here. These kids are doing a better job than that motherfucker in the room.
Why did you do this? You know better, right? Why?
I'm sorry.
You know better, Daddy. You almost got killed.
I'm sorry.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Now that's bad acting.
Oh, Allison.
It's both disturbing and hilariously appropriate that there's clearly an Eyes Wide Shut style orgy happening in the parlor of this house right now.
Jeremy doesn't know what the word orgy means.
I don't have any. What do you call them, Max? Yabos? Max likes her yabos.
Look, I was a teenager in 1993, and I don't remember anybody calling boobs yabos. In fact, yabos is clearly way dirtier than just calling them boobs.
And Tyler, the creator, was a teenager when Rush Hour 3 came out, but swears that movie never existed. My point is, just because you don't remember something doesn't mean it wasn't a thing.
Legend says that on a full moon it will raise the spirits of the dead when lit by a virgin on Halloween night.
Notice how many different oddball factors have to be true for this to work. Full moon, virgin, Halloween night, and somehow there's a functioning black flame candle, perhaps the same one from 300 years ago, still lying around the old house that's been turned into a tourist attraction.
Jeremy, creator of CinemaSins, confounded by the idea that a movie called Hocus Pocus contains magic.
Wake up, sleepyhead.
It makes no sense to me that this book, or really even this house, even exists today. Apparently the old Salem of Salem witch trials fame left everything preserved after they hanged the witches, gave them proper burials under their house, kept the spell book intact, and left key items around the place knowing that one day people would want to spend money to see all this.
In real life, the supposed house of Bridget Bishop, a 17th century woman who was executed after being accused of being a witch, is still standing today. Granted, that house has been modernized and wasn't actually her house, but the point still stands. A property supposedly belonging to a Salem witch is still intact. It's not far-fetched for this to be a thing.
Also, wouldn't somebody have tried the black flame candle thing already? This is Salem, where the Sanderson sisters are legendary. Somebody who's never f***ed before would have lit this candle on Halloween night during a full moon.
Yeah, they did. It was documented in a movie called Hocus Pocus. You should watch it, it's pretty great.
Cherry clan candy.
Sinning cherry heads. Only grape heads and apple heads were better.
Man, these witches are no worse for the wear after being gone 300 years. Normally when an entity comes back from the dead, it takes forever to get their full powers back. Just ask like Voldemort, or Dracula, or Mel Gibson.
It's almost like this isn't those movies.
You mess with the great and powerful Max, and now must suffer the consequences.
What? This dickhead couldn't even evade 2 dim-witted bullies earlier today, and now he's formulating plans to foil 3 actual witches?
Dude, he's demonstrating he's seen The Wizard of Oz. He's trying to melt them with water. You know, like the dumb shit you just said in the previous sin about the logic of other movies?
Museum that has been shut down for a long time still has operating fire sprinklers.
Jeremy thinks basic engineering is a sin.
'Tis a black river.
I guess, sure. You've never seen a road before, but why do you think it's water? You can see leaves lying dormant on it. Nothing about this suggests a river. And yes, they are dumb. But the first 2 times they are tricked in this movie, it's because they don't know what water is.
I have the perfect counter to this nonsense. Oobleck. For someone that has never heard of non-Newtonian fluids, it would be confusing to them for me to explain what it was, or heck, even if I showed them the properties of it. These women are 300 years out of time. To them, asphalt is as confusing as non-Newtonian fluid would be to someone that doesn't know what it is. Looks like a liquid, but is clearly solid when force is applied.
'Tis firm! 'Tis firm as stone.
This was the same amount of surprise that my college girlfriend registered the first time we slept with each other. To her credit, I had consumed 12 highballs within 2 hours that night, so I understood her skepticism.
Hey guys, an unnecessary sexual joke that doesn't add anything to the video and has literally nothing to do with this movie. It's sad that CinemaSins thinks this would get laughs. I mean, it did, but not the kind they wanted.
When the sun comes up, we're dust.
Not only did Winifred fail to mention this before they died the first time, she waits until way after they came back to tell them they only have like a couple hours to exist.
Oh hey, thanks for repeating what the movie just told us. Now, would you mind enlightening the audience as to why the sin counter went up?
Nice going, Airhead.
Hey, look, I'm sorry, okay?
You know, there's almost as much nostalgia about this movie as there is for The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm here to tell you that that is wrong. This movie is balls. If this movie had balls, I would punch it right in those balls.
Hating Hocus Pocus. That's worth these many sins.
It's protected by magic.
Okay, cool. Can't be burned. What about throwing it in an ocean? What about maybe taking a knife to it and cutting the out of it? Only pyromaniacs think there's no other solution.
What part of "it's protected by magic" didn't you understand? Also, isn't this an answer to your previous sin about the townsfolk keeping the book?
I know this isn't a densely populated town, but there have been a bunch of people running around all night, and not one person has noticed the extremely boisterous and noisy flying women.
You do this in nearly every video. We are following a certain group of people in this movie, not being shown the perspective of every single person in this town. Maybe someone did notice the witches, but we aren't being shown those people because it isn't important to the story. You're basically asking for a scene of a cranky old lady going,
"Oh, I noticed some young people making noise on Halloween night."
What the fuck would that add to this story besides runtime?
I told you I can't die.
Yeah, but you didn't say that no matter how badly your body was flattened, it would blow back up like a basketball. Immortality has so many different facets. It usually means you can't die of old age. But like vampires and Highlanders, there are ways to die.
You just said it yourself. Immortality has many different facets. This is one of those facets. Hell, take one of the examples you just used. Do you honestly think a vampire can't survive being run over by a vehicle?
I'm very confused. I smell children, but I don't see children.
Bless you.
Oh, off, Sister Act. I'm sure they're in costumes and but that little angel girl looked almost exactly like the little girl whose soul they sucked in the beginning of the movie.
Imagine misunderstanding the scene this hard. Bro, you made the case earlier that this movie was ripping off the Addams Family thing where they do the opposite of normal humans. So why is it that you don't realize Sarah is reacting to the bless you and not the little girl?
I just realized this is Doug Jones, Mr. Shape of Water and Abe Sapien from Hellboy. Jesus, does this guy ever get to use his real face?
Sinning Doug Jones for being in costume. That's like sinning Jerry Seinfeld for telling jokes or Ice Spice for making terrible music. It's kind of their thing.
I bet you could explain a lot of the tone of this movie by listing the various recreational drugs that were popular in the early 90s.
Would that also explain your subscriber count?
You could probably write an entire thesis on how casually horny this character is and how it has all to do with the plot, but for now, I'm content to just write us in.
Incredibly ironic, considering the amount of sexual jokes you litter these videos with. Like, I can't even believe you are saying that. That's like Sarah Silverman admonishing someone for racist remarks. Wait.
Dance until you die!
Coincidentally, this was Steve Rubell's mandate for anyone that attended Studio 305? It wouldn't be because this is the only establishing shot you had from earlier and you just darkened it to make it look like it was nighttime, is it? Because it sure as hell isn't 3:05 a.m.
I find this sin to be very insightful. I mean, it's a clever usage of resources on their part and very observant on your part. My issue is that you said this as if 3:05 doesn't happen twice every single day.
Damn, dude, I'm impressed. They're already sleeping together? I guess his parents won't care when they get home and check up on them. I guess her parents won't care at all either. Sure, this is probably a totally chaste sleepover, but this is still a big step. And yes, perhaps the witches actually did put a spell on everybody at the party. That still doesn't explain why Max thinks he can just have a girl in his bed, no questions asked.
This is a Dalsim level stretch. You're talking about a guy that instantly fell in love with this girl, hugs his pillow while fantasizing about her, and has been daydreaming about her yabos. If you think this kid is worried about what his parents think while he has his crush in his bed, I would love to speak to you about this temperate beachfront timeshare in Death Valley.
Hold my hand.
Way to go, Max, you're not a virgin anymore.
See? This is the guy that criticized sexual innuendo in this movie that added nothing.
Please, please, I believe it's magic. I believe it's magic, magic.
Jeremy sings in a video cliche.
Come, little children.
Man, this movie really wants to be a musical, doesn't it? It's like a half-ass away from being a full quarter-ass musical, if I'm doing my calculations correctly.
You can't make this up. The man that just sang is upset about singing.
Danny?
Once again, why are these two assholes immune from the siren song? Just as much children as the others, according to the witching logic.
Actually, that logic referred to prepubescent children. Otherwise, the witches would have sucked the soul of Binks earlier. And I know how that sounds. No, I'm not changing my wording.
It doesn't matter how young or old you are. You sold your soul!
This has to have been a verbatim rant by Kanye at last year's Kardashian Thanksgiving Day dinner table, doesn't it?
Takes that aged like wine.
Get that little rat-faced kid that called me!
Yep, they have all the children in the world here to keep living, but Winifred's revenge boner is stronger than making sure they survive and getting Danny another day.
Jeremy says boner.
Is this the opposite of giving head? No wonder he started Winnie's sister all those years ago.
I should be numb to the hypocrisy at this point. I am not, though.
Huh, I guess Furiosity killed the cat.
The witches are dead. My soul's finally free.
They were dead for 300 goddamn years, and it didn't matter. Yeah, sure, they had a pending escape route, but if we want to get technical here, they were dead. Winifred even mentioned going to hell and finding it lovely earlier.
But you can't just skirt past what makes this a different situation. You always do this. You say out loud the thing that contradicts you, and then you try to gish gallop past it hoping people won't notice. There was a pending curse that tethered Binks' soul to the earth. That no longer exists, and he is factually free. Why are you sending correct things?
I guess this is supposed to mean there was going to be a sequel? Sequel. Holy
Hence, this video. Because getting gutted sounds more rad than getting the throat slashed? Everything wrong with Scream 2. One of the characters gets killed.
I put a spell on you.